Relationships, tricky business, difficult, challenging, amazing relationships. I'd like to share with you events from my life that have taught me a lot about relationships and how they work and how to make them work better. This is my father's hat. My father wore this hat like every day. And as a kid, I can remember maybe being, I wouldn't say ashamed, but not maybe being embarrassed to be around him. He was the only father that wore a hat. And it wasn't just because he's the only one in the hat, it's because it's the darn ugliest hat that God ever made. Well, after my father passed, we were going through his stuff, and my mother told me, like, oh, he wanted you to have the hat. And I'm like, really? It's what he wanted to give me. Okay, it's what he wanted me to have. My father was a factory worker. He worked hard for his family. That was his way of showing us that he loved us. And he never complained. But he also never said that he wished he didn't have to work so much. That he wished he could be around more and be closer to us and whatever. And he just didn't have the time, and we kind of understood it. It's not like he's going out drinking or going to, games or anything. He was working. And after, he retired, when he retired, he still didn't have time. He still was, he'd enjoy you if you came by for a visit, but he wasn't, breaking his back to make time. After he passed, we found his watch. He wanted me to have his watch. I would rather have had the time. Instead, he wanted me to have the timepiece. It's what he wanted to give me. I have a foundation called Hope for the Children. All the money that I raise for things goes to help the poor around the world, and my father never gave me 5 cents. After he retired, that man had some money, and I always felt like, wow, he is so cheap. What's with that? After he passed, I went through his things, and I found a letter to my father from the richest man in the world, Bill Gates. It's on Microsoft letterhead. And from this letter from Bill Gates to my dad, I can see that my father must have written to him. It said something to the effect of like, my son is trying to help poor people. You have a ton of money. You should give my son some of your money. Because this letter is basically Bill Gates writing back saying, I don't think so. This is what he wanted to do. This is what he could do. I would rather him give me, hey, Tony, here's $10 for your kids. That's what I would have liked. But this is what he wanted to do and what he could do. One of the hardest things I ever went through, maybe the hardest thing I went through in my life is when my marriage failed. And my father never said a word. He never once asked me, so how you doing? You okay? You need to talk? You need anything? You all right? Nothing at all. It was like it never even happened. And at the time, he wasn't a big talker at any time. But at the time, I remember feeling like, whoa, this is the worst thing I'm going through. And he still can't be there for me. He still can't keep it real with me. He still can't talk to me. After he passed, going through his stuff, I found this envelope. On the outside, it says, I'm praying that our Blessed Mother Mary will watch over my son always. And inside this envelope is a little homemade calendar that he made, marking off each day how he had prayed a rosary for my healing. This is what he wanted to do. This is what he could do. And in relationships, and in life, if we can let the people in our lives love us the best they can, the way that they can, and then whatever we may not get from them, if we can let God love us with that love that might be missing, we'll be fine. But if we don't have God, then we're always walking around feeling a little empty. And the bottom line is that nobody can love you perfectly. And until you get that, relationships are always going to be poisoned. Because if a person doesn't have God in them, then they're going to be looking for you to be God for them. And if you don't have God, then you're going to be looking for other people to fill up that emptiness, that little hole, or maybe big hole that's inside. So that's my little tip on relationships, and I hope it helps you a little bit. And just appreciate the people you have and the way that they can love you. Amen. Okay, here's a couple of really good moves you could make that would really improve your relationships. Take a really good look at who needs you. Who in your life you know you're important to them, and make some loving gesture for them. Is there someone in your life that's going through a rough time? Reach out to them and pray for them. Let people who encourage you know that you really do appreciate them. Make time for someone with whom it's been a long time since you did that. Practice the golden rule in all your relationships. Take a good look at if you're spending time and energy with people who are good for you and you're good for them. And is there someone who you need more patience with? Probably is. We all have those kind of people. Well, definitely make a decision to work on that.